Are we doing what we know, ladies and gentlemen? That's why we're here. It's to constantly remind ourselves what he just said towards the end of that, the unwiring, the unwiring of things that are no longer serving us. He gave an example of just him unlearning his emotional home. Do you know your emotional home? Do you know what emotions have been wired in you that you feel actually the most comfortable with? Doesn't mean you like them, just means you experience them a lot. So you actually feel the most comfortable with them. You know what to do when sadness hits. You know what to do when depression hits. You know what to do when anger hits. Like you know the feeling very well, but you might not know the feelings opposite of those. You might not know what it's like to experience bliss or joy or peace or happiness. That means we might have to unlearn our emotional home. We might have to unwire how our brains are operating in our emotional state. That's why nothing that's outside of you is actually important, because this is the stuff that's important. Many of us don't even know that we have an emotional home. We don't know. And Ed Milet just talked about it. It got wired in him when he was a kid out of love for his father, who was an alcoholic. And so he's worried that his dad is safe. Very loving, heart centered place to be. And then as an adult, it shows up in the exact same way. The things that might have served him as a 10-year-old kid no longer serve him as a 52-year-old man. This is the same thing that you have to evaluate in your life. The things that served you at 22 probably don't serve you at 42. The things that served you at 12 don't serve you at 52, right? Like you have to understand that we have to unlearn these things in order to relearn the future version of ourselves, the future emotional home that we stay in. This is the process of personal growth and personal development. It's not being motivated and inspired. It's being inspired to go do things on you, work on you, to get to the best version of yourself. And that's a reminder. He talked about when the enemy comes, right? When the enemy comes, he tries to do a couple things. He gave you 3 Ds. He said the enemy comes to try to make you doubt, make you discouraged, and make you delusional. I'll add another one, comes to distract you also. But how much do you live in this? Again, I'm talking to us because we want to get to that ideal life, right? You want life to be better. The reason we jump on these calls is because we're not content with all of the areas of our life as it stands right now. We might want more fulfillment, more money, better relationships, better health, whatever. There's things that you want to grow to and get to. So you have to understand why people don't get there. And you have to look at that in your own life and start to make some changes. How much are we doubting? How much are we getting discouraged? Because that's not of God. Like that's not for us. It's there, but it's not for us. The delusional side, the right, the discouragement, the distractions, all of these things are taking you away from the man or woman God called you to be. They're taking you away from that future version of yourself. So you have to be able to get aware of these things in your day to day. You have to be aware of it. Awareness is the first step to change, ladies and gentlemen. And this process of changing our identity, what Ed Milet talked about, this process of changing who you see yourself as. He gave some great points on there as far as you are not your job, you are not your career, you're not your degree. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Not what you have done. And your identity can't be linked to your performance or to your job, because that's the easiest way for us to then lose ourselves because it's attached to something external. Have you taken time to sit down with yourself and figure out who you are? The identity you have of yourself, as Ed Milet calls it in some other videos, the thermostat you set for yourself. We never, especially those of you that are after some financial things, you can never out earn your identity. You can never out earn the person you believe you are. And so this process is us going to work on our identity, on figuring out who we are and who we want to be, So we can get to that ideal life. There was one point that he made in there that talked about service, talked about helping people. It's such a huge part of our journey and shaping your identity. I wanted to point it out a bit in our text, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. This one says the great ones evolve from success to significance. So we talk a lot about success. We talk a lot about, right, find someone that's successful, do as they do, you'll have what they have. But really, this is a matter of significance. Tony Robbins, we talked about him on Wednesday, or we looked at him on Wednesday. He broke down something that said there's 6 basic human needs. One of those basic human needs is significance. It's feeling significant to others, to ourselves in some way. And a lot of times that is something that runs and controls our actions. Remember, our thinking is what controls our actions and all the things. So if our subconscious beliefs are that we want to feel significant, we've never felt significant before. Maybe as a child, the way you did get significance was when you did something good. And so now you just like pleasing people and doing good things and performing so that you can feel that same level of significance. It can come from many different places. Again, awareness is the key. I'm taking y'all down a journey of how to get aware, get self-aware of how you got to this place you are in life. It's very similar. Those of you that have worked with us financially, it's very similar to what we do on the financial side. You have to know where you are currently and how you got here to understand where you want to go. You have to track your money, look backwards before you can create a budget and look forward. That's what we would say in the financial space. In the realm of identity, of where you sit, like you have to understand how you got to this thinking. I used to ask people this question a lot when I would sit down with them, and they would say things to me that were completely out of line with like kind of how I think or just what I think is right or whatever the case is. I would ask, man, who taught you to think that way? I would ask that question. Who taught you to think that way? I don't really care about like what you're saying, but like the thought process behind that. Who taught you to think that way? Do you know who taught you to think the way you think currently? Do you know what influences you've had? You got to start to be aware of these things because significance is one of those things that we're actually, a lot of us are after. But we got to understand this. It says in the text, it says, the masses chase success and often find it elusive as a result of their limited belief system. The few that break through typically make it to the upper class level of consciousness where they remain for the rest of their lives. The upper class is driven by ego and power. While some of them build financial fortunes, they often suffer from a lack of meaning and fulfillment in their lives. This is evident by the number of broken relationships many of them experience. In an attempt to gain greater fulfillment, this group is famous for throwing money at their relationship problems and attempting to use their power to coerce their friends and loved ones into their point of view. When this eventually fails, as it must, the upper class doesn't understand how they can be so successful professionally, but not personally. Their egocentric addiction renders them blind to the simple truth that fulfillment and happiness cannot be coerced or purchased. The few that make this discovery are jettisoned to the world class almost overnight, where they trade their ego-based thoughts for spirit-filled consciousness. The upper class focuses on success. The world class focuses on significance. Here's the sentence. The great ones discover what fulfills them first and ends up with success as a byproduct. Their secret to a fulfilling life is often through servant leadership to a large group of people who need their help. Their secret to a fulfilling life is often through servant leadership to a large group of people who need their help. There's a direct correlation between their level of fulfillment and the magnitude of impact they have on people they serve. In other words, the more significant the champion becomes in the lives of others, the more fulfillment they experience. The more fulfillment they experience, the more energy and effort they invest in other people. The success formula is similar, but requires that the performer help large numbers of people in order to or to reap large rewards. The irony is that many great performers become successful without ever chasing success. Their journey to fulfillment through helping other people create success by natural law. By focusing on becoming a significant person in the lives of others, they automatically gain the success that the masses so desperately seek. Their world-class success and fulfillment creates a world-class happiness. That's why we call them the great ones. Ed Milet in that video talked about your intention. Confidence comes from your intention, your intent, who you are, your heart set, where like what you're able to give to people. That builds confidence. That's a form, he says it's a hack to building confidence, is to know your intent and to help people. It's to serve people. So while we're on this personal development, self-development journey, where you're focusing on your identity and who you are and all of those things, I don't want it to get lost on you that one of the fastest ways, right? It's a hack. One of the fastest ways is to just serve others. It builds a confidence in you. It builds a confidence in you that then, again, everything we build on brings momentum, right? It's momentum. And so the more that you do something over and over again, the more you start serving people, the more you get that confidence, the more you have this sense of fulfillment, the more you start to shift your identity. The more you start to shift who you think you are. Your identity is no longer tied to, again, your career, or this thing or that. It's tied to how you are feeling, how you are making yourself feel by serving others, by doing what's right, by your intentions, by having a good heart, all those things. But you have to understand that service, helping others, is the key. Helping others, getting getting yourself to a place where, again, not to sacrifice your own well-being or because sometimes we do that, right? We go all the way to the other side and we put everyone else before us. I'm not talking about that side, but I am saying if you want to get to this fulfilled life where your identity starts to grow, where you start to believe more about yourself, your thoughts and your beliefs of yourself become greater. One of the hacks to get there is by service. And that creates significance, which again creates our identity. Our identity becomes that of the person that we want it to be in the future. So just understand, y'all. Significance might be something that you're going after, but you got to serve people in order to get there. It changes your identity. Watch out for the things that Ed Milet talked about, the doubt, the discouragement, the delusion, the distractions. These are things that take us away from feeling significant, from helping other people. We don't feel like we're qualified, all those things. But if we're on this journey of personal growth and personal development, just know you got to go out. You got to make some of these changes. The quote says, "I never wanted to be a successful person. I wanted to be a significant person." The action step for today says, ask this critical thinking question: am I focusing my energy on becoming successful or significant? Who are you? Who are you? Where's your emotional home? What are you spending time on? What's your intention? What are you focused on? Ponder some of these things every day. Ponder them this weekend. Take time this weekend to sit with yourself. Ask yourself some of these questions. Think, right? I know enemy distracts you. There's going to be tons of distractions this week. Even if you think it's well-meaning distractions, right? Family, obligations, responsibilities, all the things. You need to take some time this weekend to sit with yourself and say, "Hey, who am I? Who am I? How do I see myself?" And hopefully it's not attached to a job or a career. That's not you. That's what you chose to do. And it might have given you some significance, but now we got to unlearn and relearn. We got to unwire some things to rewire to become the man or woman that God called us to be, to get to that ideal life, to get to that life you don't need a break from, to improve in your health, your finances, your business, your relationships, your spiritual life, all the areas you want to grow in. We have to become different, but it starts by us thinking different, y'all. All right? I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve to win. Your families deserve to win. If nobody ever tells you, I'll always tell you because it's true. You deserve this, right? You deserve to, but you got to do the work. It doesn't just fall on you. It doesn't just come. Like you have to be intentional about it. We talked about this on Wednesday. You have to have an aim. You have to have a strategy. Like you have to know exactly like what you're going after and like how to get there. And I'm telling you, the strategy we should start with is renewing our mind. If you change your thinking, you can change your life. But we got to uncover how we're thinking about things. Then we got to do the work of unlearning and relearning. I know it's hard. It's hard, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Nico, glad to see you back. I'm glad you're here. For all of you guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will see you guys on Monday. Do something this weekend that pushes you out of your comfort zone, that does something that scares you. We'll come right back and talk about it again on Monday. Take care, y'all. Love you guys.